Representing the state of Florida in this case are Assistant State Attorneys Linda Drain Burdick, Jeff Ashton, and Frank George. Representing the defendant in this case are attorneys Jose Baez, Mr. Cheney Mason, Ms. Ann Fennell, Linda Sims, and Mr. Baez. You may be seated, counselors. And Mr. Baez, would you like to introduce your client and any other staff? I guess they're. Mr. Baez, would you like to introduce your client?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to introduce you to KCN.
Okay, do any of you know any of the attorneys that have been introduced here today? Dressed in white shirts, and you can see are the court deputies. Their job is to assist the court. If you should have any questions or any concerns, please refer those to the court deputies. Seated to my right are deputy clerks. They are to assist me here in court, such as handling all the exhibits, swear witnesses, keep court minutes, and to assist me with miscellaneous duties. Now, seated down front, you will see a court reporter who's operating that funny-looking machine. She is charged with the responsibility of taking down everything that's being said in this particular proceeding. In calling you here today for jury duty, we are mindful of the enormous inconvenience we will be imposing, and we know that. We realize that jury service is not always convenient, but it has always been considered one of the most important obligations of citizenship in this state and country. No one should avoid this obligation except under the most pressing circumstances. Jury service is a civic and patriotic obligation which all good citizens should perform. Our system of justice depends on people like you who are willing to serve on jury service. It gives you an opportunity to be a part of the judicial process by which the legal affairs and liberties of your fellow men and women are determined and protected under our form of government. You are being asked to perform one of the highest duties of citizenship. That is, to decide disputed facts which will determine the legal rights and obligations of the parties to this case. This case is a change of venue for the purpose of selecting 12 jurors and a number of alternates, I guess without lights. Those selected will be taken to Orlando for trial. You will be sequestered at a local area hotel due to the high-profile nature of this case. This trial is expected to last 6 to 8 weeks. While we will do everything possible to ensure that you are comfortable and that your service is a pleasant experience, there will be limitations to your movements, communications, personal interactions, and activities. These limitations are not in place to restrict your freedom as much as they are to restrict outside information of those with information from potentially influencing the jury. The defendant in this case is charged with the following crime: first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter of a child, and 4 counts of providing false information to a law enforcement officer. As to the charge of first-degree murder, the state has served notice that it is seeking the death penalty against the defendant, Casey Marie Anthony. At this time, I will read you the indictment. In Florida, citizens accused of crimes by means of a grand jury, which is a body of citizens not unlike yourselves that are called in to determine what is called probable cause. When the grand jury returns a true bill, the charging document is referred to as an indictment. It is important that you understand that what I'm about to read to you is not any form of evidence. These charges should not be considered by you as any proof of any guilt. It will be up to you, if you are selected as a juror, to decide if the case is proven. Understanding again, this is simply the way that people are charged with crimes are brought to court, and this is a legal document only and not any evidence of guilt. The indictment reads as follows. Count 1, first-degree murder. The grand jurors of the County of Orange, duly called in panel and sworn to inquire and true presentment make in and for the body of the County of Orange, upon their oaths do present that Casey Marie Anthony, between the 15th day of June, 2008, and the 16th day of July, 2008, in said county and state, did in violation of Florida state statute from a premeditated design to effect the death of Kelly Marie Anthony, a human being, unlawfully killed Kelly Marie Anthony. Count 2, aggravated child abuse. Charges that Casey Marie Anthony, between the 15th day of June, 2008, and the 16th day of July, 2008, in said county and state, did in violation of Florida state statute, knowingly and willfully cause great bodily harm, permanent disfigurement, or permanent disability to Kelly Marie Anthony, a child under the age of 18, by intentionally inflicting physical injury upon Kelly Marie Anthony, or by intentionally committing an act or actively encouraging another to commit an act which could be reasonably be expected to result in physical injury to Kelly Marie Anthony. Count 3 alleges aggravated manslaughter of a child. Charges that Casey Marie Anthony, between the 15th day of June, 2008, and the 16th day of July, 2008, in said county and state, did willfully or by culpable negligence in violation of Florida state statute, while a caregiver to Kelly Marie Anthony, a child under 18 years of age, fail or omit to provide Kelly Marie Anthony with the care, supervision, and services necessarily to maintain Kelly Marie Anthony's physical and mental health, or fail to make a reasonable effort to protect Kelly Marie Anthony from abuse, neglect, or exploitation by another person, and in doing so cause the death of Kelly Marie Anthony. Count 4, providing false information to a law enforcement officer. Charges that Casey Marie Anthony, on the 16th day of July, 2008, in said county and state, did in violation of Florida state statute knowingly and willfully give false information to Yuli Melich, a law enforcement officer with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, while conducting a missing persons investigation with intent to mislead Yuri Melich or impede his investigation, to wit, that Casey Marie Anthony was employed at Universal Studios Orlando during the year 2008. Count 5, providing false information to a law enforcement officer. Charges that Casey Marie Anthony, on the 16th day of July 2008, in said county and state, did in violation of Florida state statute knowingly and willfully give false information to Yuri Melich, a law enforcement officer with the Orange County Sheriff's Department who was conducting a missing persons investigation with intent to mislead Yuri Melich or impede his investigation, to wit, that Casey Marie Anthony left the child, Kelly Marie Anthony, at the Sawgrass Apartments at 2863 South Conway Road, apartment 210, Orlando, Florida, with a person identified as Anala Fernandez Gonzalez on June 9, 2008, or any subsequent date. Count 6, providing false information to a law enforcement officer, alleges that Casey Marie Anthony, on the 16th day of July, 2008, in said county and state, did in violation of Florida state statute, knowingly and willfully give false information to Yuri Melich, a law enforcement officer with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, who was conducting a missing persons investigation with the intent to mislead Yuri Melich or to impede his investigation, to wit, that Casey Marie Anthony informed persons identified as Jeffrey Hopkins and Juliette Lewis, former Universal Studio Orlando employees, of the disappearance of the child, Kelly Marie Anthony, between June 9th, 2008 and July 16th, 2008, and count 7, providing false information to a law enforcement officer, alleges that Casey Marie Anthony, on the 16th day of July 2008, in said county and state, did in violation of Florida state statute knowingly and willfully give false information to Yuri Melich, a law enforcement officer with the Orange County Sheriff, who was conducting a missing persons investigation with intent to mislead Yuri Melich or to impede his investigation, to wit, that Casey Marie Anthony received a phone call from the child, Kelly Marie Anthony, on July 15, 2008 at approximately 12 p.m. Yes.